Good afternoon, and welcome to the TSI preparation video. Earlier, we actually had a class where we prepared for the TSI test. We learned about systems of equations, word problems with systems of equations, and questions with ratios. Today, this video is going to go over a few of the questions that are on your handout from each section of the TSI preparation course. So, let's start with part one, which was systems of equations. And for this, I'm going to do questions 4 and 7. So here's question 4. Suppose 3x plus 8y is 67 and 5x minus 2y equals 35. Find x, find y, and find the value of 4x minus 7y. So what we will do is we will start by writing down both equations. So 3x plus 8y equals 67. And 5x minus 2y equals 35. All right. So the first step of systems of equations is to cross multiply. So with that, I would like to multiply the first equation by 5 and the second equation by negative 3. I multiply the first equation by 5 because the second equation started with 5. I multiplied the second equation by negative 3 for two reasons. 3 because the first equation started with 3, and negative because for this to work, somebody has to be positive and somebody has to be negative. Doesn't matter who. I could have made 5 negative, but somebody. So let's proceed. So when we work this out, 5 times 3 is 15x. 5 times 8 is 40y. And 5 times 67 is 335. Then for the next row, negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6y. And negative 3 times 35 is negative 105. Okay. At this point, notice that the x's are of the same numbers but opposite sign. The good news is 15 and negative 15 can cancel out. So let's add what's left. So doing that, 40 plus y is 46y. And 335 subtract 105 is 230. Yeah, excuse me, 230. From here, we can divide both sides by 46. So let's do that. Divide 46. Divide 46. So in the end, that means y is equal to 5. And that's our first answer. Circle that. All right. Now that we know what y is, we can now find what x is. So we have a choice. We can go back to any equation we want. It honestly doesn't matter. I'll just pick the first equation, 3x plus 8y equals 67. Eight y equals 67. And what I like to do here is replace y with 5. So doing so, we get 3x plus 8 times 5 equals 67. Well, 8 times 5 is 40, so that turns into 3x plus 40 equals 67. All right, so my goal is to get x alone, so anything that doesn't have x has to move. 40 has to move. All right, no problem. I will subtract 40. Subtract 40 here. And when we do that, we get 3x equals 27. At this point, the last step is to divide both sides by 3. And in doing that, that means x is equal to 9. And there's our second answer. So we have y equals 5 and x equals 9. Now that we know this, we can answer anything we want. And we are interested in answering 4x minus 7y. So let's take a look. So 4x minus 7y. Well, we know x is 9 and y is 5. So that means we can do 4 parentheses 9 minus 7 parentheses 5. Well, at that point, 4 times 9 is 36. 7 times 5 is 35. And 36 minus 35 is equal to 1. And that takes care of our question right there. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, so it's more of the same, just new numbers. So let's set it up. So I'll start by writing both equations. So we have 11x minus 3y equals 23. And then 5x plus 4y equals 48. All right, well, just like last time, let's cross multiply. I would like to multiply the top row by positive 5 and multiply the bottom row by negative 11. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see. So doing that, we get 55x minus 15y equals to 115. And then we get negative 55x minus 44y equals to, hang on, let me check that one out, negative 528. Okay, so we're now ready to combine like terms. And the reason for that is, look at the x's. They both have 55 and negative 55. Same numbers, opposite signs. So they can essentially cancel out. And what we get after that is negative 59y equals to, let me check that out, negative 413. From here, we can divide both sides by negative 59. Like so. And if you put that in the calculator, that means y is equal to 7, positive 7. So, good. We got the first answer. Now let's find x. We can use any equation we want to find x, the first equation or the second equation. This time, I'm going to use the second equation because all the numbers are positive. But it doesn't matter. You can use either one you want. So let's see what we get. So that's going to become 5x plus 4 times y, which we just learned was 7, equals to 48. All right, well, 4 times 7 is 28, so we get 5x plus 28 equals 48, like so. And now it's time to move anything that doesn't have x to the other side. So the 28 is going to have to move. No problem, I will do minus 28. All right, so doing that, we end up getting 5x equals to 20. And then from here, we can divide both sides by 5. So with that said, that means x is equal to 4. And there's our second answer. Now that we have x and y, we can answer any question we want. And we want to know what is 6x minus y. Well, let's find out. Let's see. So we got 6x minus y. And we know that x is 4 and y is 7, so let's make that substitution. 6 times 4 minus, well, 7. 6 times 4 is 24. 7 is 7. So that gives us an answer of 17. So our answer is 17. All right, let's move on. All right, so for part 2, it's more systems of equations, but this time it's in word problem form. So we're going to do question 1 like we did on the review that we did in class. So let's take a look. Liz bought 3 sandwiches and 2 drinks for $47. Lily bought 4 sandwiches and 1 drink for $56. And we're looking for the cost of a sandwich, cost of a drink. So for this, I like to come up with an equation for Liz and an equation for Lily. So let's take a look. All right, if we start with Liz, that means we're going to have 3x plus 2y equals to 47. And as for Lily, I would like to do 4x plus 1y equals to 56, like so. And for simplicity, I'm going to have x represent the number of sandwiches and y represent the number of drinks. X and y. Okay. Well, as always, the next step is to cross multiply, and that's what I intend to do. So I would like to multiply the first equation by 4 and multiply the second equation by negative 3. All right, let's see what we get. Well, working that out, 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times 2 is 8y. And 4 times 47 is, I should know this, 188. Likewise, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3y. And negative 3 times 56 is negative 168. Well, once again, our x's are going to go away because they have the same numbers with opposite signs. So let's see what we get. 8 minus 3 is 5y. And 188 minus 168 is 20. All right, from there we can divide both sides by 5. So that means y is equal to 4. Now remember, y represents the cost of a drink. So in this case, when y equals 4, that means y equals 4 really means a drink is $4. All right. Now we can use any equation we want to find the cost of a sandwich, which is x. Again, you can use any equation you want. It won't matter. I'm going to pick the second equation because that has 1 involved, and that usually makes things a little easier. So let's take a look. All right, so using that, you got 4x plus 1y, but y is 4, so I'm going to make that change. And all of that's equal to 56. Well, that means 4x plus 4 equals 56. And now we can start moving things around. I can subtract 4 on both sides. So that means that 4x is now equal to 52. And then from here, we can divide by 4. So with that said, we get x equals to 13. And when x is 13, this means that a sandwich is $13. And that's it. That's question 1. All right, let's do the next one. All right, a sightseeing boat charges $5 for children and $10 for adults. Yesterday, they collected $455 from 21 passengers. How many children's tickets were sold and how many adult tickets were sold? All right, so here you have to kind of read between the lines a little bit. You'll notice in the second sentence that they collected $455 from 71 passengers. So that's 2 different things. One's asking about money, and the other's asking about the number of passengers. Also, notice in the first sentence, they charge $5 for children and 10 for adults. That means there's 2 types of passengers, children and adults. So the best strategy is to come up with 2 equations, one for passengers and one for adults. So let's do that. So for passengers, we have children plus adults is equal to 71. And now for one of my favorite things, money, what we end up getting is 5C plus 10A equals to 455. Just like this. Okay. Well, what I like to do is keep doing what we've been doing. So what I like to do here is multiply the top row by -5. Because if you do that, then that means we end up getting, let's get that together, we get -5C minus 5A equals to -355. And here's something that I like about this. Notice that the second equation, the money equation, already has positive 5C. Since we already have the same numbers with opposite signs, I don't have to do anything further with money. So literally, with the money equation, I'm just going to transfer it over. So underneath this, I'm going to write positive 5C plus 10A equals 455. All right. Well, as always, first equation, in this case, children are going to go away. And what we're left with is 5A equals to 100. All right, from here we can divide both sides by 5. So as a result, we get A equals 20. And when A equals 20, this means that yesterday there were 20 adults, realize that, adults on the boat. All right, now that we have that, we can now find the number of children on the boat. We can use any equation we want, and we'll get the same answer. I really like the first equation because that looks like the easiest. C plus A equals 21. So let's take a look. C is C, that's what we're trying to find, plus A, we just learned was 20, equals to 71. Literally, all we have to do is just subtract 20 and we're finished. So subtract 20, subtract 20. So what's left from that is C equals to 51. So this means there were 51 children on the boat, like so. So that's it for that. So let's do some ratios. Okay, so we're going to solve by using ratios. All right, suppose a line is 4.5 yards. How many inches is in the line? So the hint that we're going to use is 1 yard equals to 36 inches. So I'm going to make a mini table. Let me show you what I mean. So for our conversion, we're given yards, and we like to change it into inches. Okay. And we already know, thanks to the conversion, that 1 yard is the same as 36 inches. We know from the question that they're asking for about 4.5 yards, but they want to know how many inches, so we don't know that yet. So I'm just going to write an X for now. So notice what I have here, and I'm going to create a mini table from this. Put a box like this, maybe a line here, and a line here. Once you get this set up, the next step is to cross multiply. So I like 1 to multiply to x. So that means we're going to have 1 times x. Then I like 4.5 to multiply to 36. So here's what it will look like. So we're going to have 1x equal to 4.5 times 36. Well, 1 times x is x, and 4.5 times 36 is 162. And this is in inches because that's what was missing. So there's our answer, 162 inches. So that's the answer to part A. All right, part B would like to divide this line into 3-inch segments. And for this, we're looking for how many segments that we would have. Now, when they say 3-inch segments, that's a conversion in of itself. That's like it's saying 1 segment is equal to 3 inches. So I'm going to make a table again. So we are comparing segments and inches. All right, and what we know is 1 segment is equal to 3 inches, and we already know that there are 162 inches, but we don't know the number of segments. So I'm just going to put y under segments and place 162 under inches, like so. All right, let's make a little table. Like this, and this, and this. And again, let's cross multiply. So for this, I will have 1 multiplied to 162. And then I would have y multiply to 3. Let's see what that looks like. So 1 times 162 is equal to y times 3. All right, if we work that out, that's the same thing as saying 162 equals to 3y. And then the last step is to divide both sides by whatever number is in front of y. So for that, we are going to divide both sides by 3. And when we do that, we end up getting 54 equals y. So this means that the line, oops, this means that the line has 54 segments. All right, and that's how you do that. So let's look at the last question. All right, a triangle has three angles whose sum is 180 degrees. Suppose the ratio of the three angles are 10, 14, and 21. Find the measures of all the angles. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to create a table, and our title is going to have small, middle, big, and total. I'm doing this because a triangle has three angles, because literally the word tri means three, so three angles. So I have to give them a name. So I'm going to call it small, then middle, then big, then also total. Okay. All right, you'll notice that they kind of gave us a ratio of 10, 14, 21. So from small, I'm going to give that 10 because that's the smallest. 14 is in the middle because that's between 10 and 21. Then big is going to be 21 because that's the biggest number. And the total is those three numbers added together. So 10 plus 14 plus 21 is 45. All right, so here's the number one thing to know about a triangle and its angles. In every single triangle, the total of all the angles must be 180 degrees. So underneath total, I am going to write 180 degrees, which I'm going to do right over here. But we have to know what small, medium, and large are, which we don't have a clue. That's okay. We're going to find one. For small, I'll write X. For middle, I'll write Y. And for big, I'll write Z. All right. So the trick to this is to cross multiply like 3 different times. Once for small, once for middle, and once for big. Okay. Let's take a look. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make we'll start with small. All right. So we got small and total. Small is 10, total is 45. Small, we don't know the angle, but the total is 180. So from here, let's cross multiply. 10 times 180 and 45 times x. So doing that, let's see, 10 times 180 equals to 45 times x. Well, 10 times 180 is 1800. And the last step is to divide by 45. So if we do that, here and here, that means we get 40 equals to x. And what this means is, this means the small angle is 40 degrees. All right, So now we're going to repeat the same for middle and repeat the same for large or big. So let me kind of divide it up like so. All right, let's do middle. All right, set this up. So we got middle, total. All right, the middle had a 14 with a total of 45. Middle, we don't know the angle for middle, so I'm going to put Y. And for total, it's always 180. Cross multiply again. So 14 times 180 and Y times 45. Let's see what we get. So 14 times 180 equals to 45 times Y. 14 times 180, let me double check that, make sure. That is 2,520. And then the last step is to divide by 45. So let's do that. And if we do that, let's see, just double checking, we get Y equals to 56 degrees. So let me write that out. So this means the middle angle is 56 degrees. All right, and finally, we're going to do it for the big angle. So let's take a look. So again, create another proportion. So we're going to have big and total. Big is 21, total is 45. Big, we don't know the actual angle, so it's Z. In total, it's 180. So once again, cross multiply. 21 times 180 and 45 times Z. Let's see. So first of all, 21 times 180 is equal to 45Z. 21 times 180, let me double check that. That is 3,780. And then the last step is to divide both sides by 45. So let's take a look. So 3780 divide 45, we get 84 degrees. So this means that the big angle is 84 degrees. So that concludes our video review. If you have any questions, please stop by the Math Center at PCC campus, and I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, thank you and have a great day.